Kentucky Division of Motor Vehicles now under investigation. Claims workers were selling driver's license to undocumented immigrants.
America, a Kentucky whistleblower just exposed a massive fraud scheme where government employees were selling driver's license to illegal immigrants for $200 each. No driving tests, no background check, just cash and go. Nearly 2,000 fraudulent licenses were issued over 2 years, with employees making 4 to 5 fake IDs per day across multiple state branches. But here's what's absolutely sick. Melissa Moorman, the whistleblower who exposed this corruption, got fired the same day she cooperated with law enforcement, while the governor claims he had no idea what was happening. Because this story shows exactly how document fraud pipelines work to help illegal immigrants evade deportation, while corrupt government employees get rich selling official documents. The retaliation against truth tellers is absolutely unreal.
The whistleblower says the appearance scheme happened 4 to 5 times a day for 2 years at multiple sites across the state.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story exposes everything wrong with government corruption that punishes whistleblowers while protecting the criminals who sell official documents to people who shouldn't even have them. Let me tell you about Melissa Moorman, because her story shows exactly what happens when good people try to do the right thing in a corrupt system.
Undocumented workers would come in to the office. They would be bypassed without even taking a permit test or taking the road test.
Melissa worked at the Louisville Center licensing branch through a staffing contractor called Quantum Solutions. She discovered that employees were selling fraudulent driver's license to illegal immigrants for $200 apiece. With employees being paid under the table, she immediately reported this to her supervisors.
They would then be paid under the table. They would be paid $200 a person.
Melissa Moorman, a 3-year employee working at the NIA Center branch, says illegals would walk in with fake birth certificates, Social Security cards, and utility bills.
We've seen this before in plenty other states, and we just saw it with the recent CDL situation. Melissa said she was angry for a long time, and it hurt to talk about it because she actually liked where she worked. But when she came to her office after cooperating with detectives, she said, "My computer was shut down and I was told to go out the front door." She got fired. She got fired for doing the right thing.
2 co-workers, according to Moorman, would then give them the fast pass treatment. No lines, no tests, just licenses for cash.
Melissa was fired 3 months after sending a letter to Kentucky Transportation Cabinet blowing the whistle on workers selling driver's license under the table. The same day she spoke to detectives, she lost her job. That's not a coincidence. This is retaliation.
The undocumented workers would come into the office in groups. They would provide them either permits or driver's license illegally. So they were bypassed without even taking the test.
How much?
$200 a person.
Up to 5 times a day, she says.
Now let me break down how this sophisticated fraud operation worked, because it shows the level of corruption that we're dealing with in Kentucky. This was an industrial scale fraud operation. They used fake birth certificates, Social Security cards, but the key here was bypassing the required Homeland Security screenings. Employees processed transactions under other workers' computer logins. So if anyone investigated it, it looked like legitimate employees were processing legitimate applications.
My ID was being used in order to pin me into this scheme.
Her whistleblower letter, dated October 29, 2024, warned management that her employee credentials were being used, even when she wasn't at work. Investigators later said that her ID popped up in more than 2,000 shady transactions.
They actually took my phone and looked through all my messages. They looked through my Cash App. They looked through my Zelle.
Melissa started getting emails asking, "How are you doing this?" because corrupt workers are using her logins and passwords. That's where it unraveled. The fraud was so systematic that they were using other employees' credentials to cover their tracks. Now let's talk about the scope of this fraud, because the numbers show this was happening on an industrial scale across Kentucky.
Governor Andy Beshear confirmed that employees have been fired and almost 2,000 driver's licenses or credentials have been revoked.
The revoked credentials, if used, would not work at an airport, would be flagged. if pulled over at a traffic stop.
The governor confirmed that almost 2,000 driver's licenses have been revoked. 2,000 driver's licenses. These credentials won't work at airports and they'll be flagged during traffic stops. That's nearly 2,000 people driving around Kentucky with fraudulent licenses who never took a driving test.
Beshear said the 1,985 driver's licenses were discovered during a routine review of credential applications. A former clerk spoke to WDRB News this week saying her coworkers were selling those driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants for $200.
This happened 4 to 5 times a day, at least for 2 years, at multiple branches across Kentucky.
You see, reports were published saying that temporary workers in the regional driver's license offices were running an alleged fraud scheme where undocumented immigrants were allegedly issued IDs in exchange for $200.
Temporary workers in regional offices were running this fraud scheme where undocumented immigrants were issued IDs for $2,000 apiece. The regional office model created an environment where this corruption could actually flourish. Let's talk about the governor's claims about how he had no idea this massive fraud was happening in his own state agencies. When asked if the revoked licenses were issued to undocumented immigrants, the governor said he couldn't discuss this ongoing criminal investigation. But Melissa's letter reporting the fraud was sent in October 2024, and there had been repeated media inquiries about immigration connections.
But that's part of the investigation, and it's part of a criminal investigation. You know, there are a number of different reasons people might try to get fake identification, and I want to make sure I don't get in front of the Kentucky State Police in their current investigation.
One thing Beshear did confirm is that the employees allegedly involved in the scheme were not state workers.
The governor then read a prepared statement claiming that the transportation cabinet identified irregularities during regular reviews, but this wasn't discovered through regular reviews. It was exposed by a whistleblower who got fired for reporting it.
Auditor Allison Ball today saying that her office has asked for a formal explanation from Governor Beshear regarding reported irregularities and misconduct within Kentucky driver's license issue process.
And how was the governor not aware of a massive fraud scheme involving nearly 2,000 fraudulent licenses issued to illegal immigrants? Let me explain what this fraud scheme means for immigration enforcement and public safety, because the implications go far beyond Kentucky.
Adrian Trivedi helps people trying to obtain legal status, an immigration attorney for 14 years.
For those immigrants that don't have a pathway to obtain legal status, having a driver's license could mean the difference between getting home from work safely.
An immigration attorney admitted that immigrants without legal status having a driver's license could mean the difference between getting home from work safely and avoiding deportation. This confirms that people were buying fake licenses specifically to evade immigration enforcement. A fraudulent driver's license becomes the foundation for a completely fraudulent identity. It can be used to open up bank accounts, get jobs, rent apartments, and access to services. This $200 investment in a fake license enables people to live illegally in America while avoiding detection.
To Moorman, this license scheme exploited people.
I didn't want no parts of it.
Moorman says she wrote this letter with her boss on October 29th, and she spoke to detectives 3 months later. She was fired the same day.
America, this story exposes exactly how document fraud pipelines work to help illegal immigrants evade deportation, while corrupt government employees get rich selling official documents. Nearly 2,000 fraudulent driver's licenses were issued in 2 years at $200 apiece, with employees making 4 to 5 IDs per day across multiple Kentucky branches. These people never took driving tests, never proved that they could safely operate vehicles, and never went through the proper background checks. Melissa Moorman did everything right. She reported the fraud to her supervisor, cooperated with the investigation, helped identify corrupt employees, and provided information to law enforcement. And her reward? She got fired the same day she talked to detectives. And the governor? He claims he had no idea about the massive fraud that was happening in his own agencies, despite whistleblower letters, media inquiries, and nearly 2,000 revoked licenses. Either he's completely incompetent or he's lying about not knowing. The transportation cabinet withheld 2,300 records, suggesting this fraud scheme is much bigger than what we were told. How many other branches are involved? How high up does this corruption go? This case shows a pattern, what we're seeing across America. When honest employees report corruption, they get punished while the corrupt system protects itself. This sends a clear message to other potential whistleblowers: keep your mouth shut or you lose your job. Every time you're driving, you could be sharing the road with somebody who bought their license for $200 and has no idea how to drive safely or speak English. Document fraud creates safety risks for everyone while helping people evade immigration enforcement. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.